When the Brooklyn Nets landed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving back in 2019, they were widely considered the biggest winners of the offseason. Brooklyn had completed a speedy rebuild and appeared to be in position to compete for multiple championships with Durant and Irving both in their prime and both signed for long-term deals. Free agents like Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, and others were willing to sacrifice tons of money just to join the Nets, hoping to get the ultimate goal, winning the NBA championship. Fast forward 4 years later, the Nets have only won one playoff series, and the KD and Kyrie era of Nets basketball can only be viewed as a total failure. The 2022-23 season didn't start well for the Nets, but they did win 12 games straight. It seemed like they are finally back as a title contender. The Nets had won 18 of 20 games when Durant was sidelined with a sprained MCL on January 9, 2023. No one thought that KD had played his last game as a Net. Brooklyn was 31-20 and 4th in the East on February 3rd. Irving made his trade demand after contract extension talks had not gone the way he hoped. Brooklyn traded Irving to the Dallas Mavericks 3 days later. The day after Irving deal, Durant told general manager Sean Marks he wanted to be traded specifically to the Phoenix Suns, and that was it. The Nets that looked so promising were gone. So what really happened in Brooklyn? What went wrong for the Nets super team to end up being a total bust? Well, in this video we'll try to give you those answers. So let's take a quick look back at how the Nets put this team together in the first place. The 2019 offseason, on July 6th, the Nets signed Kyrie Irving as a free agent. The following day they made another significant move, trading for Kevin Durant, who had suffered a torn Achilles in the playoffs. The Nets decided to gamble on him and sign him to a long-term deal, even though they knew they'll need to pay him a huge amount of money in the first season just to recover. However, the Nets put up a duo of two of the best players in the league still being in their prime and were considered one of the main contenders to win championships in near future. Ken Atkinson was the head coach of the Nets, decided to start young center Jarrett Allen instead of former All-NBA first team member DeAndre Jordan. That decision did not go well with Irving, and in March 2020, the team fired head coach Atkinson, replacing him with interim coach Jock Vaughn. Atkinson had Brooklyn in position to reach the playoffs despite Durant missing the entirety of the 2019-2020 season. They finished 35-37 and were swept by Toronto Raptors in the first round of the playoffs. It wasn't a big deal since the team was still looking for their identity and KD was still yet to play his first game for the Nets. Going to the 2020-21 season, the Nets hired Steve Nash as their new head coach. KD recovered from the Achilles injury and Irving was playing quite well. The Nets front office went one big step further. In January 2021, they were part of a 4-team trade that landed James Harden in Brooklyn. No, the Nets looked unbeatable, and the only thing that could have stopped them were the injuries, which eventually happened. The Nets finished second in the Eastern Conference but lost Irving and Harden to injuries. They swept the Boston Celtics in the opening playoff round and went on to face the Milwaukee Bucks in the second. The series went to Game 7 and the Nets were literally an inch away from advancing after Durant stepped on the line on a potential game-winning three-pointer. That game went to overtime, which the Bucks won and went on to win their first NBA championship in 50 years. It was a tough elimination for the Nets organization, but they believe the franchise is on the right track. They managed to sign Durant to a contract extension and failed to do so with Irving and Harden. With the coronavirus still at its peak and the mandatory vaccination, Irving refused to be vaccinated and the Nets announced in October 2021 that Kyrie will not be part of the team, a decision they changed 2 months later, announcing that Irving will remain as a part-time player. KD and Harden were not pleased with Kyrie's decision and things got heated up. Harden lost his temper and demanded a trade, which he saw being sent to Philadelphia in February 2022. That was the start of the Nets' breakdown. The Durant-Kyrie-Harden trio surpassed the Kobe Bryant-Steve Nash-Dwight Howard coupling as the biggest failure in modern NBA history at the end of the day. They played only 16 games together. Durant and Kyrie were still on the team, but it was obvious something was wrong after they were swept by the Boston Celtics in the opening playoff round. In the offseason, Kyrie demanded a trade, but he accepted the player option for the last season after no team of his interest was an option. Durant sent an ultimatum to the team. It was either him or coach Steve Nash. Mark somehow managed to keep them both at the start of the 2022-2023 season, but after they started 2-5, Nash was gone. It seemed like the Nets will finally start winning as KD got what he wanted, but then things got even worse. Irving tweets a link to a film featuring anti-Semitic messaging. Then the Nets suspend Irving for failing to unequivocally say that he has no anti-Semitic beliefs, nor acknowledgement specific hateful material in the film. Irving was again off the court for reasons known only to himself. It looked like the team has reached its lowest point, but all of a sudden there was hope. The Nets won 12 straight games and got close to the top of the East. It seems they'll finally focus on basketball and everything collapsed. Irving demanded a trade and was sent to the Mavs, which was followed by Durant's trade to the Phoenix Suns. And just like that, the Nets went from a possible title contender to a huge bust with a long rebuilding process ahead of him. So, whose fault is it? As most of the time, the players are those who got the attention, and we can hear those opinions and frustrations on different issues. The feeling is that people behind the scenes are to blame for such outcomes, but can that really be the case here? So let's look at the Durant situation. The Nets signed him when he was still in the recovery process with torn Achilles, and despite all the uncertainty, they gave him over $30 million just to recover as a Net. When he was back in the court, he got the ball most of the time. The team landed Harden on his request and picked him when his conflict with Coach Nash went too far. So what more could the Nets do for him? KD wanted to prove they could lead a team to the championship by himself after not being impressed by his 2 rings with the Warriors, and he failed to do so. He was the main man in Brooklyn for 3 seasons, and all he did was win 1 playoff series. If we look at the Kyrie situation, it's even more ridiculous. The team was very patient with him, both when he refused to get a vaccine and with anti-Semitic messaging. In both situations, he was out of the court because of his beliefs, and the team suffered because of that. In the end, he was the one to blame the team for everything and requested a trade. Well, from that perspective, it's KD and Kyrie who simply failed to deliver. Probably the best person to give the answer on what didn't go well in Brooklyn was James Harden. He's smart enough not to give details, but he still shared his perspective.
I didn't just ask to leave for no reason.
Harden said, "There's a lot of dysfunction, clearly. There's a lot of internal things that I'm not going to ever just say or put in the media or anything. It was one of the reasons why I chose to make my decision. I knew what was going on, and I decided to I'm not built for this. I don't want to deal with that. I want to play basketball and have fun and enjoy doing it." So the Nets are back at the beginning. They got a couple of talented young players and plenty of draft picks for the future. They will not be under the spotlight anytime soon, maybe not a top destination for free agents. Durant once again did what he did when he joined the Warriors. He chose to go safe and join a team that is ready a contender. Irving joined another star in Dallas. We all hope this time basketball will be his priority.